Do you have the bat with you?
I do have the bat with me.
Tonight, the bat that Pistorius used to batter down his bathroom door is used in court to recreate the crime scene. And a forensic expert contradicts Pistorius' account of whether he was wearing his prosthetic legs the night of the killing. Good evening from Pretoria, where the toilet door from Oscar Pistorius' house was brought into court today to show how the athlete battered it down with a cricket bat. Pistorius fired 4 times through the door in the early hours of Valentine's Day last year, killing his 29-year-old model girlfriend Riva Steenkamp. Pistorius has always said he thought there was an intruder hiding behind the door. Only later, he says, did he realise that Steenkamp was not asleep in the bedroom. The state's forensic expert testified that the height of the indentations on the door suggested Pistorius was not wearing his prosthesis when he broke it down. Pistorius says he was. Paul Harrison reports.
So far, the evidence brought before court has largely been in the form of witness testimonies. But today, the very toilet door from Oscar Pistorius' house and the cricket bat he used to break it down were brought into the courtroom. The key question, had the Olympian been wearing his prosthesis as he battered the wooden door with the bat the night he shot Riva Steenkamp? It was Colonel Johan Vermeulen's job to see if the markings on the door did in fact match that of Pistorius' cricket bat.
The small one on the edge here is the one mark, and then I refer to the elongated one as the second mark. The investigation revealed that the cricket bat actually made a physical match with the marks, which is a undisputable confirmation that the bat was used to bash the door.
Do you have the bat with you?
I do have the bat with me.
Can you just pick it up? Can you just describe the bat? What's the name of the bat?
It's a laser English Willow Club Plus cricket bat.
On the bat, on the face of the bat, what do you find there?
My lady, there's a couple of signatures. I suspect it's from well-known people. I do not know the signatures, but there's a couple of signatures on the face of the bat.
That's the bat you received?
That's the bat that I received on the 26th of April.
My lady, may I beg leave that the witness leave the witness box and demonstrate to court?
Yes. You may.
My lady, and if you permit me, I would like to take off my jacket just to be easier. Thank you, my lady. My lady, the bat made a physical match with the door in this position.
If you stand upright, is it comfortable to hit there?
The police forensic expert then aimed to show the indentations could not have been made by Oscar Pistorius standing wearing his prostheses.
I would have been in a kind of an uncomfortable position, not a natural position.
But matching the markings on the bat with those on the door, the witness believed it made more sense that Pistorius was standing on his stumps.
Now, may I, with leave of the court, ask that the shoulder height of the colonel be measured as he is there? Because you make contact with the place where it's hit.
1.24, between 1.24 and 1.25.
1.24 and 1.25.
The prosecution then turned to the moment in the bathroom that Oscar Pistorius used his cricket bat to prise off one of the toilet door panels, seen here already removed in this exclusive photograph obtained by Sky News taken shortly after the shooting.
Can we deal with the second mark?
The bat went through the door, and there's actually marks on the toe of the bat which correspond with what happened here, where the bat went through the door, and these marks were created when the person kind of twisted the bat to break open the panel. This shape here actually formed an exact physical match with the face of the bat, and at that angle, the marks on the side of the bat, that is the second characteristic that made me to believe that the bat was in this position when it went through the door.
That's the angle of the bat.
That's correct, my lady.
There you're not standing upright.
No, I'm squatted down to actually get my hands in a natural position, holding the handle of the bat in the angle that the physical evidence on the bat indicated to me.
And as if to emphasise the point, Gerinel then asked Colonel Vermeulen to show the court how he believed Oscar Pistorius had hit the second point.
At that time, when you did your investigation, did you know what the shoulder height of the accused would be without his prosthesis on?
My lady, I knew that he would be considerably shorter than what he would be with his prosthesis, but I was not privy to the information on measurements done on Mr. Pistorius at the time that I did the investigation.
Despite these graphic demonstrations pointing to Oscar Pistorius hitting the door while not wearing his prostheses, the athlete's legal team continued to express some confusion as to the prosecution's position on the matter.
That's not the state's case. We have further particulars, and the state's case is that he was on his prosthesis.
It's not my case that he was on his prosthesis. That was perhaps something that happened in the bail application. But as I'm standing here today, and the evidence of Captain Mangena would be that he was not on his prosthesis. And I did not say that he was.
Oscar Pistorius argues his legal team must have been wearing his prostheses, as balance would have been an issue. They put Colonel Vermeulen through an impromptu test to demonstrate.
I know you're going to be lower now because you're not standing with your knees on the little bench, but just for present purposes, on the carpet.
Do you mean on my knees?
Yes, on your knees, like you would hit the door as you demonstrated. Would you now do me a favour and lift your feet? Because Mr. No, stand down, on your knees, but lift your feet up. Hit it now.
I can't see what's happening. Just explain to me what is happening.
Are you losing your balance?
I'm off balance, yes, my lady.
You can try it again in case you think there's a trick in it.
No, but
you can tell the court what happened to you.
My lady, when I lift my feet, I'm off balance.
Mr. Pistorius, I was trying, and we'll get to that at a later point, to show it is fine to illustrate someone standing on his knees, but with support by his feet. And what I want to put to you, he has even less support than your knees. We'll get to that, and expert evidence on that.
Colonel Vermeulen was then employed to take another test. The aim, this time, to show that the cricket bat could in fact be matched to marks on the door if Pistorius had been wearing his prostheses.
In the standing position, you can bend your back, it's fine. You can, not your legs, Colonel, not your legs. Just bend your back. Yes? Does it go in?
It will go in, yes.
Is it unnatural to bend your back when you hit something?
This is a very unnatural, uncomfortable position, my lady.
You don't have to bend your legs. Just your back and go for, like you've done it before.
Like this?
Yes, does it match?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Am I correct in understanding that all the marks will match, also standing? The only difference is you say that it was an unnatural position for you to be into it at all.
Yes, my lady.
Before the court adjourned for lunch, a burning question from Barry Rue. If it was the witness's belief Oscar Pistorius had been standing on his stumps, why had he not put it in his report?
You gave a report, and what is not in the report is that the accused must have or was on his stumps when he hit the door with a cricket bat. That's not in your report.
My lady, as I said earlier in my evidence in chief, was that by the time that I did the investigation on the door, the only request to me was to determine if there were any marks on the door that related to the cricket bat.
That's not what it's all about. We know one thing. You had the forensics department. When you have additional information and you have a report, you bring out a second report.
My lady, as I said in my evidence in chief, during the consultation, I think it was in November, the first consultation with Mr. Nell regarding my report, I just mentioned it to him as a side note that my observation is that Mr. Pistorius was not on his legs, he was on his stumps when the door was hit, not knowing that it was an issue.
Coming up, Pistorius' defence lawyer Barry Rue takes on the state expert and alleges the door has been altered whilst it was in police storage. Welcome back to Pretoria and the continuing trial of Oscar Pistorius for the murder of his girlfriend. Well, we've already seen the police forensic expert, Colonel Vermeulen, is such an important witness for both the prosecution and the defence. It wasn't unexpected that his testimony continued for the rest of the day. Barry Rue was surprised to find out that other pieces of wood from the crime scene had not been examined by the police forensic expert.
What do you see on that photo?
My lady, on this photo, I see the door, I see the markers on the door, the cricket bat, the angle I suspect it to be. Oh, there's some pieces of wood next to that.
You see the pieces of wood?
I see it now, yes, my lady.
So you had them?
No, I didn't have them.
Well, you're not there at the scene?
I was here at the scene. I didn't pay attention to that. And I actually didn't see it. I must have overlooked it, my lady.
But it's right next to the door. You will agree by just looking at a photo it's not difficult to see it.
Well, now it's obvious if you know it's there.
But Rue wasn't finished undermining Colonel Vermeulen's account. This time an unexplained dent on the door was the focus of attention.
You see a mark, you see where the handle is, and when you go down there's a distinct mark. Yes, you're pointing to that distinct mark.
My lady, I did indeed look at that mark, but I could not find anything that convinced me that that mark was due to the cricket bat.
On behalf of Mr. Pistorius, we will present evidence that that mark was caused by the prosthesis kicking that door or making contact with that door. And the fabric of the sock was in fact still embedded and found, and varnish of the door on the prosthesis.
Or in his version of the events, him trying to pick up my steenkamp, he could have stumbled over it. So that's just another version. I don't say he didn't kick it, but what I'm saying is that the kicking is not the only possible source of that.
Can I ask you a favor? Will you go and take a plank and stumble over it and bring it back and come back in evidence and show me a mark that can replicate it? Will you do it afterwards? And we can do it under controlled circumstances, because I tell you it cannot be.
As far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know, where anyone requested to do analysis to link the prosthetic legs with kicking down of the door.
I'm trying to understand the police and the investigation. You see marks on a door. Would someone not be asked from the forensics department to look at those marks and try and find if there can be given any explanation for it? In the bail application, I put on my prosthetic legs, ran back to the bathroom and tried to kick the toilet door open. So it's not that the police was unaware of this version. You see there's something, you think, well, we can look at it, it's not too late. We don't need months and months and weeks. Let us go back to the door and let's check, and maybe we can assist the accused and find something that would corroborate his version. Or is the approach rather, well, I've done my investigation and that's it.
I decided.
The investigation.
I'm not gonna bother with the version. It will be presented in court, and then the court can decide on further matters.
Understand, to use your words, I'm not going to bother with his version. That's what you say.
Because it would not change my investigation that I did.
Shoe prints,
That's
like
correct.
police shoe prints. I saw somewhere a report. It's consistent with police shoes.
It looks like like a police shoe print.
How did that come about?
I don't know.
Did you see the shoe prints?
No, I did not see. There was faint marks on the door on top at one stage, but not as clear as these ones.
How did they disappear?
I don't know. I must admit, the door and the bed was not exactly in the same condition as it was collected, because it was already handled by several people, transported, whatever.
And the footprints again is just another
The
example.
footprints as well, my lady.
And there was, of course, someone wiping it off, not appreciating police boot footprints on the door. That's what it must be, not so.
That's possible, yes, my
Yes.
lady.
My lady, I'm not sure that you can see from that distance. It's
I can see that.
proof. Thank you, my lady. You see them?
I see them.
Please show them to me on this plank.
They're not on this plank, my lady.
But they're quite drastic marks, so to speak.
It's quite significant,
Invasive.
yes. It's quite significant, yes, my lady.
Were they there when you saw the door assembled and helped to assemble them?
On this photograph, it doesn't seem like those marks are present on the door.
Whilst the door was in the safekeeping of the forensic department, it somehow happened to get serious marks on it, which did not exist on the 8th of March, 2013.
From this, it appears like that something happened to the door.
Well, with me to discuss the day's courtroom testimony is J.C. de Klerk, a forensic ballistics specialist who's been involved in many postmortems, and our own crime correspondent, Martin Brunt. Martin, what did you make of today? I mean, this afternoon, the defence absolutely shredded the prosecution case, it seemed.
Colonel Vermeulen, I was beginning to feel very sorry for. Colonel Clouseau, some of us were calling him, because time and time again, Barry Roof of the defence was exposing shortcomings, very basic shortcomings in his investigation. There were missing pieces of the door, said Barry Roof. Well, the Colonel said, yes, I knew that, but I was told that they couldn't be found. And then he was shown a photograph that showed the door with those pieces of wood, and the Colonel then having to admit that he'd actually used that photograph in compiling his report. He hadn't asked his colleagues for an inventory of all the other things that had been collected from the crime scene. So he became more uncomfortable as the day went on, and Barry Rue was in his element. I mean, we've seen the Rottweiler lawyer up until now, but I guess this was his most successful day in making the police investigation look shoddy at the very best.
How do you think it compares with a British investigation, or is that just not fair?
Well, we always think that British police are best, don't we? And Scotland Yard is this beacon of excellence. And I think Scotland Yard officers would be the first to admit that they don't always get things right.
It was great drama, though. I mean, you've covered court cases for years and years, decades. Have you ever had a sort of recreation of the crime scene quite like this?
Well, you get little recreations, but it was a day of spectacular evidence. I mean, literally. I can't remember a toilet door being brought into court before and somebody being asked to hit it with a cricket bat. So that was a big entertainment value. And at the end of the day, this was all about was Oscar Pistorius on his false legs or wasn't he? And it doesn't really matter, except that if the prosecution can prove that their case is right, it shows that he was lying. And if he was lying about whether he was on his stumps or on his false legs, he could be shown to be lying about other things.
JC, you've not only got a specialty in ballistics and been involved in postmortems, but you've also been a member of the South African Police Service for many years. How embarrassing was this day for you?
It was quite embarrassing for the evidence to actually show up in court that there's extra evidence or extra marks on the door that came out now all of a sudden that wasn't in the initial investigation. At the end of the day, you need to ask the question is, does that marks change the result of Colonel Vermeulen, and at the end of the day, it's not going to change what Colonel Vermeulen found. Yes, there might be some other evidence that, like blood spatter maybe, that was on the door, but Colonel Vermeulen didn't examine that. He was asked to examine the cricket bat to the door. Now, it's not in dispute that the cricket bat was used. If it was in dispute, there would have been photographs showing striations on the cricket bat, matching the cricket bat to exactly the door. But that's not the case here. They found that the cricket bat was used. We all know that. I don't know how the evidence of the missing parts is going to play really a big role.
The defence is saying it's a crucial bit of evidence because those splinters meant, and the absence of the splinters meant he couldn't reconstruct the door accurately, therefore he might have missed marks.
I don't agree with that. If you go look at the door, the biggest part of the door where the bullets went through, the big mark of the bat is still there. That little splinters, yes, you can put everything back together, but then it's going to take them a year. You know, if you take all little splinters and try and match everything up, what is it going to prove?
How did you feel about him being asked to kneel and recreate it all again? I think he felt very uncomfortable at one stage.
Yes, and I think it's a bit unfair. If you take Oscar, since he's been small, he had no legs, so he runs on his legs, he's used to that. Is he unstable? Yes, maybe he is. Maybe he's not as strong. But to ask somebody, an able-bodied, to stand on his, anybody can try it. And I can tell you, you will definitely fall over because you do not have that type of balance that Oscar is.
Even the contamination, with that footprint that Barry Rue was alluding was a police footprint on top of the panel of the door, i.e. they'd walked over the evidence when they were collecting it, is not good.
No, it's not good. It means that the crime scene was tainted. In other words, if other evidence that could have helped us could have gone lost, could have been changed. The cartridges could have been changed. And there's so much other things that can happen around the evidence for the shoe. But they say that it's a police shoe, but they need to find the right shoe, put it there, and then say it is a police shoe. It can be somebody else's shoe.
JC de Klerk, ballistics expert, thank you very much. Martin Brunk, crime correspondent. I'm sure there's going to be more drama as we carry on. The Pistorius trial is on Sky News from 7:30 every weekday morning, and there's a special programme at 9:30 in the evening. Do join us.